It's the big 5-0. What? Watch out. No, not the cops. No, not my age. Well, it is for 4 more days. But we're talking about the top 50 comic books in my collection. Stay tuned if you want to see them. I cannot be a bigger dork even if I tried. And believe me, I've tried. Hey, Tacoma Comics here. Ooh, I'm hip with the kids because I'm wearing a Vans t-shirt, even though I'd fall off a skateboard these days. That's not the point. The point is Biggie Shack started this tag going around, and I haven't seen this tag in like 2 or 3 years. I remember when it was a big one, but I haven't done a top 50 in a long time. So here we go. Don't know how much of this has changed. Don't know how much of this is me being lazy and not going much past my wall. If you look at the wall, you'll see empty spaces all over the place, even in front of me, a lot of empty spaces. So a lot of this was just being a little bit lazy and grabbing the wall books because sometimes that's how you flow. And, you know, Lady Fantastic, I think, made this very clear. If she did the top 50 the day after she did it, it might be a different 50 books. And I think that's very true here. I'm always already regretting and changing ideas in my head. And, that's just the nature of the beast. So, without further ado, sort of have these categorized, but not really. We'll start with Star Wars books. I think I got like 52 books, by the way. Shh. Don't tell the 50 police. Don't tell 50 about the 50. Stop. You're such a dork. Just show the comics. Just show. Okay. Afra, signed by Gillen, not signed by Granov, but I'd love to get it signed by Granov. Such an iconic new character. I don't think that people who have read or people who haven't read her two solo series, so for a brand new character to have two solo series like that is really impressive. I don't think people understand how duplicitous this character is. She's just not just a fun-loving archaeologist who gets into hijinks. No, she has murder droids and she has killed people and has double-crossed people and is on the run. She is fun-loving and has hijinks, but she's also a murderer. And so you got to keep that in mind with her. Had to put that in. Clone Wars. Wish I'd kept all the copies I had. Really hate Anakin. Really love Ahsoka. Really love Clone Wars. My kids got me into watching the TV show, and it's phenomenal. And Ahsoka's character arc is incredible. Really does justice to the Star Wars saga in as much as it questions the Jedi, and I think the Jedi have needed questioning from time to time. I don't think they're awful. I don't think they're on a level with the Sith. I don't think any of those stupid things you might hear people say, but I do think they can be called into question for what they see as altruism and their methods and their inconsistencies and their arrogance. And I think Ahsoka did that and did that better than anybody else has, and still has come back to save the day several times. Scar Squadron is still an incredible group of elite stormtroopers. Reading about them in this issue was phenomenal. This is the 1 in 100 David Aja cover. This, like, his artwork just blows me away. Really love reading that. The original Marvel, it's not the original Marvel reboot of Star Wars went to 70 issues. This is issue 50. I think I stopped reading around issue 53, 54, so I couldn't even tell you what happened, but this is a cover. This is a cover by. Look at that cover. I don't understand why this cover is not more celebrated, and the red second print. To me, it's just one of the most iconic Star Wars covers ever done. Blows me away. Speaking of iconic Star Wars covers and Princess Leia, this Adi Granov variant from really horrible company, Comic Exposure, who could never deliver things on time and never answer customer service emails. I love this. I love the idea of Leia, not as the general later in her life and not as the princess, but as somebody who forwent Jedi training and decided to become a pilot to help the rebel cause. I love that version of Leia, that concept of Leia, because we haven't really seen it. We've seen older Leia and we've seen Princess Leia. We haven't seen in between Leia. This is now, I could do a top 50 of just Stephanie Hahn's books. So I've kept the Stephanie Hahn's books out in order to put more in. Here's a Stephanie Hahn's book. Since we're on Star Wars, High Republic, #1. If this was a ratio variant, it would go through the roof in terms of its price. But because this was just a C cover on a book that had like 30 covers, maybe not 30, maybe about 10 or 11, this is still only like a $35 book, and I think it is badass. Um, Avar Chris and our friend Yoda and the little, what's up, Kyle? The little SH, nope, sorry, down that corner for Stephanie Hans. Truly one of the greatest recent covers, I think. This one may or may not stay in my top 50, but because it got assigned by Jim Cummings, who does the voice of Ohaka the Pirate, Ohana the Pirate. Master Jedi. My son does a good one. I don't do that. But anyway, um, I just think it was really cool and really playful. I would love to get the Rebels variant of that. Hey, Kenneth, welcome back, man. 2 days in a row. These are the animation cell variants, and I love this one. These are all 1 in 50s or 1 in 100s, just because it's got Ahsoka and Padme. Padme, who I think had really bad writing and bad parts. Love Natalie Portman, but I did not like Padme in the prequel trilogy. I liked her a bit better in Clone Wars, but can't say that I loved her in all of Clone Wars. All right, got a few Usagi's here. I got the Fantagraphics #1. Still have to get that signed and remarked by our friend Stan Sakai. And then Albedo, I'm going to take this one out. Jim Cummings, he did Tigger too. You're absolutely right. This is a back cover appearance. So I guess this is the second cover appearance of Usagi's second appearance. But in issue 2, of course, had that classic peeking out from the nightshade cover. And if I could ever find an Albedo 2, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. That's a book that, unless I get a lucky stealth buy, I think Albedo 2 is beyond me. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, price-wise, I don't have that sort of money. And if I did, probably a GSX1 or a Hulk 180, 181, 182 probably would be just above it in terms of desirability. But any 3 of those, I'd love. All right, let's hit them with some indies. Saga #1, signed by Fiona Staples. I met her at my first Emerald City Comic Con in like 2015, 16 or something. Still an iconic cover. Still a great comic. Just one of the most fun reads ever. Chew. Now there is a tape pull on this because I picked this up for $2 at Half Price Books. And I was so stunned. I ran into another aisle to make sure it was like first print and stuff. And I got a tape pull somewhere there. My friend who got this signed at Chicago was supposed to get Rob Guillory to sign over the tape pull somewhere about here, but Rob refused to. He signed it here. So still love Chew. If you've never read it, grab the trade paperbacks. It's so much fun. Matt Rosenberg, 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank, signed by Matt and Tyler Boss. Absolutely great series. Just like it's indescribable in as much as there's nothing else like it. There's a lot of stuff similar to it, but it just fits its own little niche. It's hard to put, like, it's a kid a coming of age story. Is it a bank heist story? Is it like a D&D sort of thing? Like, it's hard to kind of say. where it fits very well, and that's one of the reasons why I love it. Bitch Planet, kids, you can't watch this. Kelly Sue putting her politics where her mouth is, and it's one of the reasons why I love her so much. And you can see we've got Valentine Delandro and Kelly Sue signing this. Don't think I got oh, Fitzpatrick wasn't doing the colors yet on this. Kelly Fitzpatrick. So love that. Great read. Um, oh, look, there's a second print on the back. One of my all-time favorite comics, Lock and Key. I don't have this one signed. Would love to get this signed. Just stunningly amazing how good Lock and Key was. Uh, Monstrous, signed there by Sana Takeda. I have the second and third print as well. Um, Hard to see. She didn't have any other colors. Would love to get Marjorie Liu's signature on then. I'll be joining JP's gang talking about Monstrous seventh volume later on this October 19th, I believe. And then another indie one. If you haven't read Black Hammer, I highly suggest reading Black Hammer. The original story is good. World of Doom is good. Visions is good. A lot of the miniseries are good. Colonel Weird, Barbalian is great miniseries. The Cthulhu Louise one shot's great. He creates his whole superhero world with a lot of 1950s traditional superhero stories feel to it, but also not like getting lazy and less resting on his laurels, bringing a decidedly modern flavor to it. All right, let's look at some. I guess you could say I am a Bronze Age type of guy. So we got a lot of bronze stuff. We've got Bob McLeod signing G.I. Joe #1. When I was a kid, I just loved G.I. Joe. I mean, every issue is like new characters with new powers, new specialties. One of the greatest stories ever told is right here. And if you haven't read this, get a digital copy or something or reprint. This is a silent issue, and it really brings to the forefront what comics can be. The idea that you can tell a story with just pictures, and that the pictures aren't there just to be pretty, but you can actually, the story can be told from the point of view of pictures. I think there's an astonishing X-Men that was also silent issue. Somebody's got to help me out there. I'd love to read some more silent issues because that is one of the only ones I have. As far as Wolvie goes, I got this signed. No, I didn't get the signed. I bought this and found out there is a McFarlane signature on the inside. So that is just that iconic cover. That's my Wolvie, brown and tan, the way I like him. Not as some undercover detective called Patch, but this is just so iconic. I thought I would throw that up there. Nice, Kyle. Nice. How am I going to choose X-Men? Right. I mean, I've got like a whole that top row back there is all X-Men. You can see I've pulled down 3 or 4 from it. Um, I don't know how to choose like my favorite X-Men, so just grabbed a few. It's 94. I put that at like a 4.0, maybe a 4.5, signed by Claremont. Really happy to have that in the collection. You can debate 181. Hey, I'm an 8, 180, 181, 182. But you can, I think, safely say this is the third full appearance of Wolverine without worrying about which one of 180, 181, 182 was a cameo or whatever. One of those was the first. GSX was the second. This is clearly the third appearance of Wolverine. And obviously the second appearance of Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler. Is it the second appearance of Banshee as well? And Sunfire died in GSX1. So Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Cyclops. Boom. Phoenix. And I know that the Team 180, I mean, I think you got to lean that way. I think you got to lean, you can't dismiss it at least. You got to give it some cred, right? 180 deserves some street cred. Phoenix, what else are you going to say? As much as I love the concept of Phoenix, as a character, the character that I actually like more is the Dazzler. 181 is a cooler cover, M&E, no doubt. And that's why I think that will be a hard one to replace. Love the Dazzler, love the Dazzler's miniseries, not miniseries, series, especially, uh, God, like it has the worst cover, but the Dazzler Annual or Annual 2 is a great story about like the trials and tribulations of show business and how it affected the Dazzler. I just love this cover. I love this concept of old versus new. I would actually like to see Cyclops on both sides of this. I think that would be kind of funny because he was the carryover to the new team, but alas, they didn't do that. So you got this. At least Marvel Girl isn't like floating on a hoverboard, skateboard, just in the air, but it's actually there. So another classic few there. Let's get into some moderns. First, Miles. If you've ever read this issue, it's kind of blah. But the concept of Miles as a character and his depiction in Into the Spider Verse solidly has fixed that character in my mind. Is just a great character. Boom. Vision. Probably. Excuse me. Oh, that was rude. Probably one of the greatest modern reads. I liked it better than Mr. Miracle. The idea of what is normal in a family trying to find. Thank you, M&E, trying to find some normality. Uh, let's give Eric Larson some credit for this cover for Squirrel Girl newsstand. Really, really digging that. Like that Rogue. This is kind of like probably around 1990, I assume, maybe a little bit earlier. Just looking at like the hairstyle of Rogue is going into the 90s, but Storms doesn't have the mohawk, so maybe it is earlier, or maybe it's post Mohawk Storm. I'm not quite sure. Uh, but 1991, it says right there. My point is, Wolvie still got the classic costume that I love, but Rogue's starting to get 90s hair. Anyway, kind of a cool cover. Like I was looking at the first appearance of Rogue, but that's such a horrible cover. I was like, yeah. First Moon Girl, beautiful. I probably should have taken out the Raza hip hop one for that. First Devil Dinosaur. Those two go together. I count those as one. Looking up on the wall, I do have New Agents of Atlas #2, which is like the first name 6 characters, and I've got the first Young Avengers #1 up there, which is like first Kate Bishop and stuff, but they don't resonate that powerfully with me, even though they're big books. But this one does. I love Strange Academy. Scotty Young is such a talent. Not only does he draw beautifully, but he writes really well too. Read Middle West. I haven't read Twig yet. Read this. Just really, really awesome. Rounding out some of those characters, Gwen Stacy, Spider Woman, Edge of Spider Verse #2. This was a recent acquisition over the summer. Need to press, but it's pretty good. Got one tick that I can see. Pretty happy to have that. I like this one because it's triple signed. Love the group of characters on here. Obviously, not all of them are actually in A-Force, and A-Force may or may not ever become a concept, but we've got Marguerite Bennett, who did the interior art, Jorge Molina, who did the cover art, and G. Willow Wilson. You got to see there sideways in She-Hulk's hair, excuse me, the author, who's also my favorite author because of Miss Marvel and her novels, which are really good too. I like this. Matt Fraction dedicated it to me. Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool there. I like the little heart and exclamation point and the fraction and the little drawing up there. Really nice. Hawkeye #1, another great series, a short series. David Aja art is on point in the first covers of that series, the early covers of that series. Oops, I missed some down here. Runaways #1. This is going back to like the indie books. Brian K. Vaughan. This is another team of youngsters that I really like. Like I said, Young Avengers, okay. Some of those others, okay. But this was great. And if you never saw the TV show, is it on Hulu? I can't remember. Three seasons, I think. Really good TV show. Lumberjanes #1. One of my favorite reads. I think these girls are great. Signed by like three of the creators there. Same Comic Con where I met Fiona Staples. I almost called her Fiona Apple. Oh gosh. Boom. That might be one of my top books. It's got Adi Granov. It's got Miles. It's got Bendis. It's got Pacelli. It's got Justin Ponsor. I want to get Nas to sign that. One of my favorite artists is Missy Misdemeanor Elliott. So I took the Invincible Iron Man #1 hip hop. And this next one is not technically one of the hip hop covers, but it is Black Panther doing Run the Jewels. Got to love Black Panther. Love Run the Jewels. I will be seeing them in March, open for Rage Against the Machine, the concert that is 2 years delayed. All right, talking about more modern characters. Carol Danvers becomes Captain Marvel, which makes room for Miss Marvel and the 1 in 100 Miss Marvel #1, signed by G. Willow Wilson and Art Adams, the cover artist on that. Love that cover. Probably my favorite Miss Marvel cover, no, one of my 10 favorite Miss Marvel covers is the Babs Tarr 1 in 50 to Magnificent Miss Marvel. Love the superhero looking back at the character rather than the character looking at the superhero, like the cover of issue 14. A really nice play on that concept. Jorge Molina killed this. This is the 1 in 100. If you ain't Fiona Apple, the 1 in 50 to issue #2, just very, very, not very, very rare, but pretty rare. Not a lot of people. What's up, Who Dat? Not a lot of people buying 50 issues of Miss Marvel #2, and that has G. Willow Wilson. And does this have Jorge Molina on it? Oh, I guess I met him at a different con before I had this. This does not have Jorge Molina's signature on it. Need to get Jorge Molina's signature on it. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is one of the best albums ever, one of the greatest hip hop albums. And so just this homage there that they did, I thought was really, really wonderful. And it's a Frizen cover. Would love to, if I met Frizen, that's what I'd get signed by Frizen. Still love my Champions. You talk about a group of young kids that I do love. It absolutely would be Champions. And then I got this Way of JoJo, this David Mack cover of Champions with Miss Marvel on it, signed by David Mack. Thank you, Flicks and Comics and JoJo. That was awesome. Oh, it's got a certificate, so it has to be true. It's only 381 out of 400. It's pretty cool. So there's more than 400 of this cover made, just 400 signed by Mac. If it was limited to 400, I'd be like, and I went for this. And I went for this one because I love the Bloody Fists. I think sometimes we treat Miss Marvel as a kid. All right, Kyle, thank you. And I think that she has teenager problems, but I think she has to fight bad guys for real. So I like the Bloody Fist there. And her first appearance. I haven't told the story in a while, so we'll double them up. Kelly Sue, in an interview, has said that was intended to be Miss Marvel in issue 14, the little girl that's in one panel that looks up, and Captain Marvel's like, "Get to safety, citizens! Run!" Whatever she says. I've also been told by G. Willow Wilson that she thinks that was retconned. I don't know if she was supposed to say that or knew to say that or just didn't know that it was intentional or It wasn't intentional. I don't like to cause big fuss, but I remember these things when they're told to me years ago at cons. All right, I'm not a slab guy. I have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I have 8 slabs, and 6 of them have made this video. So running down the end, bam. The first cover appearance, Miss Marvel, second printing of Captain Marvel 17. Hard to find book, a low print book. They say probably under 2,000 printed. No idea why it's a 9.4. Well, one corner makes it a 9.4, but I think honestly this could get a grade bump. Jesus, maybe a bit of a miswrap, but that could be this. I might have to go for it. I'm not going to get a 9.2, right? This doesn't really deserve to be here, because I just bought this as a completist for the things I love the most. But as a collector, it was, what's up, Biggie? Biggie, I'm doing your 50. Um, I think I should probably put the Marvel issue in, just because what? Because that's where I first read ElfQuest and fell in love with them. They were equal loves of mine along with X-Men throughout the 80s. Like, those are my top 2 comics. So I think if I was being fair, I would have spent more time digging in a box, but I was lazy and grabbed something on the wall. Not because it's the first Silk, but because it's a verified Lee signature, and I grabbed it for $25. I was pretty impressed with that find. Silk is a cool character. Hopefully, she'll be in the Into the Spider-Verse 2. One more Star Wars for you. Thank you to Kavi for that one. He what did he do? He sold this to me really cheap, and I threw some Star Wars toys at him, and I was forever grateful because I think he gave me a great deal on that. Really great guy. And last one, I'm just putting this one last because I just got this in the mail yesterday. Thank you to A Poor Man's Comics. Completing my run of Why the Last Man is Why the Last Man #1 in a 9.6. And I checked it. There's like one tick on the back and a tiny bit of color rub. I don't think it would get a 9.8. It's flawless. Otherwise, like, corners are flawless. I think 9.6 is fair on this one, and I don't think. Yeah, he is, Biggie. I don't think there's anything I could do to fix it, so I won't. So there you have it. My lazy 50, because I didn't dig in boxes. I grabbed what was on the wall and on the shelf. And you can see I left some fire up there. Boba Fett, Riri Williams. I left some big books up there, but in general, I think I got what tickled my fancy. And as a final note, I agree with Lady Fantastic. You could do this tomorrow and come up with a different 50. I only did one Hans book, so that's telling you. All right, my friends, it is late and you're still hanging out with me, and I do appreciate that a lot. I really do. So thank you, everybody, for being here. It's nice knowing that you are not in an echo chamber or yelling out in the woods, but you got people, trees in the forest, listening. So I'll talk to you all later. Peace.